Namaste everyone, welcome to Neet Guidance. In this presentation, we will be knowing the question paper pattern of Neet exam. As we all know that Neet 2022 registration regarding the updates has been, you can check through the website. You can also download the information bulletin and go through it, because the most important information you get is through the information bulletin. Please download it and go through it. You will get every detailed information in that. It is a very important information. If you download and go through the information bulletin, whatever doubts you have, you will be get clear to the information bulletin. In this presentation, I am going to discuss about question paper pattern of Neet 2022 exam. As we all know that in there will be 4 sections, that is physics, chemistry, botany and zoology. In physics, overall if we take, it is divided into part A and part B. All the subjects have been divided into part A and part B. In part A, 35 questions are there. In part B, 15 questions are there. Part A, that is 35 questions. It is compulsory. Every questions the student should attempt. 35 questions also students should attempt it. There is no options or choices in part A. And coming to part B, there are 15 questions. The most important thing is that in part B, most of the students, especially the students who are attempting the NEET for the first time, that is this year, they will be having some confusion regarding part B. As we all know that NEET paper is overall for 720 marks, and subject wise we take, subject wise the questions will be overall for 45. But here if we count, there are 50 questions. Changes is there regarding part B. In part B, students should attempt 10 questions. Yes, there will be 15 questions. It is the student choice that which questions to answer. It is left to the individual decision, that is the student. Out of 15 questions, students should attempt 10 questions. Yes, total 50 questions are there in question paper. Overall, students should attempt 45. How is that? Means in part A, 35 questions, that is compulsory questions students should attempt. In part B, out of 15 questions, students should attempt 10 questions. Once again, the students will be having some doubts that what if more than 10 questions if they answer. Yes, even if you answer total 15 questions also, you can see in the information bulletin, the information is clearly mentioned that even if you attempt more than 10 questions, the whatever the questions, starting 10 questions in part B, for example, if you take 15 questions are there, randomly the student may be attempted like one first question, or for example, if 15 questions are there, students you may attempt like first question, fourth question, fifth question, and again continuous. Even if he has attempted a total of 15 questions also, according to the information, they will consider starting 10 questions. Means if overall 1 to 15 questions the student has completely sequentially, even if he has answered also, starting 10 questions answer, the system they will consider, they have told in the information bulletin. So be careful. Even if you have attempted the remaining questions correctly, starting 10 questions as they are considering, don't take a chance and put yourself in a risk, because even 1 mark also is important during counseling time. So think properly and try to practice from now onwards, as it is like a new pattern for you. From last year it has been implemented. Earlier to that, overall 45 questions were there. From 2021 this system has been implemented like part A and part B. What questions to answer, it is left to you. Again, if you go for chemistry, it is the same thing. Part A is compulsory, 35 questions, all the students should compulsorily attempt all the questions. In part B, 15 questions are there. There are choices, means in part B, out of 15 questions, students should attempt 10 questions. Means overall making out of 50 questions, you will get 45. Means 35 in part A and 10 in part B. Which questions to answer, it is left to the student. Finally, here also 45 questions overall students will attempt. Even if you answer more than 10 questions, what are the serially or sequentially, what are the 10 questions starting the student will be attempted, they will consider those questions only. Next, botany. Next, even same pattern for all the subjects, but the most important thing is that in part B you have to focus here that 15 questions are there, means whatever the questions you know, you try to attempt those questions. Whatever the questions you don't know, please don't waste your time, go to next question. Overall you should attempt 10 questions. If you answer again more than 10 also, starting which are the starting 10 questions they will consider. In part A 35 are there, in part B 15 questions. Out of 15 you have to attempt 10 questions. Total 50 questions will be there in botany section. Students should attempt 45 questions. Again it is left to individual decision that even if you attempt total 50 questions also, considering 15 questions in part B, they will consider starting 10 questions. Again in zoology, part A 35 questions are there, in part B 15. In part B students should attempt 10 questions. Overall in part B mainly whichever the questions you know the answer, try to attempt that. Even if you don't know, don't try, because there are choices, extra 5 questions are there. Appropriately which answers you know, try to attempt those questions only. Don't take yourself in a risk, because there are 5 choices in all the question, all the subjects. Extra 5 questions are there in part B. First try to answer whichever the answers you know. Whichever answer you don't know, afterwards you think very perfectly, and whatever the answers you know, try to attempt only those questions. Total overall if you take, you will get 45 questions to attempt. In part B, even if you know the answer, for example some students will be knowing in biology section, that is botany and zoology, for all the questions they will be knowing the answer. Even if you attempt all the questions also, whatever the starting 10 questions are there, only those will be considered for grading the OMR sheet. It is clearly mentioned in the information bulletin. Whatever the information you have doubt, like regarding how to apply for the Neet 2022 and what are the documents you need to, it is clearly mentioned in information bulletin. Please go through it and read carefully and perfectly, and you can later you can register yourself and fill the application form. Finally, total if you see, for physics out of 50 questions are there in question paper, I am taking here overall for the marks range. As we all know that total for 720 marks the exam is there. Physics 45, chemistry 45, botany 45, zoology 45. Even though 50 questions are there for each subject, I am considering here for subject wise 45 questions, because finally you should get to know what the question paper pattern is dependent on. Total 128 questions it will consider. For marks is 720. Duration of exam is 200 minutes, that is 3 hour 20 minutes. Most important thing is that subject wise if we take 35 plus 15, you will get 50 questions for each subject. Even chemistry also 50 questions there will be there for chemistry subject in question paper. Overall for all the total 200 questions will be there. Out of 200 you have to attempt 180. The marks will be 720 only. So finally overall what I am going to say is that even the total number of questions is for 200, students should attempt, means even though in part B you have attempted more than 10 questions also, they will consider only subject wise 10. Means part B they will consider 10. Overall if we take subject wise, the marks will be considered, means questions will be considered 45. Subject wise all over the subject, means for subject wise they will consider for 45 questions, means total 180 questions they will consider out of 200, means marks 720. See, we have almost extra 20 minutes, means compared to previous years. Last year 2021 it was also implemented. As the questions are 200, overall timing has been increased also to 200 minutes. So take advantage of this, because earlier exam was there for whatever the questions, like 180 questions, means time was limited to one number of questions. So take advantage of this, perform well, study well, start preparing according to the paper pattern. So here I have shown that subject wise like 45, 45, 45, 45. Don't confuse once again. In question paper almost 35 plus 15 you will get 50 questions only, but I have considered here whatever the marks you are going to get in the final result is dependent on whatever the answers you choose in part A and part B. In part A, compulsory 35 questions you will attempt. In part B, out of 15, 10 you should attempt. So I have considered whatever the questions you are going to get marks. I have considered here. So don't confuse on saying that 35 plus 15 is 15 is 50 questions. Why you have not given here? I have considered only whatever the questions you are going to get the marks. Means which questions you have attempted, for that which question you will get the answer. I have tried to say here. If you like the presentation, please like the presentation. You can also comment in the comment section whatever the confusions you have. Finally, thank you. Good luck for your future.